Kuzangpan, a very warm welcome to Bhutan this week. I'm Tandem Finso. In this week's top stories, the Queen of Bhutan tulip was offered to Her Majesty the Gyaltsen on Tuesday as a royal wedding gift from the Dutch citizens. The High Court dismissed the case filed by the Office of Attorney General against Anti-Corruption Commission, questioning the legality of ACC prosecuting Gilpushing land allotment case. And the 60-year-old man who was abducted from his home in Gurkiling in Sarpang last month was reunited with his family. The Queen of Bhutan tulip, named after Her Majesty the Gyaltsen, was publicly launched on Tuesday at the Nehru Wangchuk Cultural Center in the capital.
With deep red petals edged with golden yellow colors, the Queen of Bhutan tulip has been developed and cultivated in the Netherlands. It was offered to Her Majesty the Gyaltsen as a royal wedding gift from the Dutch citizens at the Lincana Palace. Earlier, the tulip was chosen by the Gyaltsen from a variety of new tulip plants. The tulip was first launched in the Netherlands on 22nd September this year. The tulip reflects the long-standing friendly relationship between Bhutan and the Netherlands and also symbolizes the growing business relations between the two countries. Later, the tulip was publicly launched at the Nehru Wangchuk Cultural Center in the capital. Speaking at the launch, the director of Bhutan and Partners, Heng Tijong, said, "The flower reflects the Gyaltsen's personality of warmth and kindness at heart and in mind." Various government officials, diplomats, representatives from the Dutch community and local business community were present during the launch. The tulip bulbs are now available from the gardener's shop at the Centenary Farmers Market in the capital. Ishi Gyaltsen, BBS News.
The High Court dismissed the case filed by the Office of Attorney General against the Anti-Corruption Commission, questioning the legality of ACC prosecuting Gilpushing land allotment case. The High Court said the Office of Attorney General cannot seek for judicial opinion from the High Court as per the Constitution and the Civil and Criminal Procedure Code. The High Court also said the nature of the controversy relates to the ACC Act 2011. The ACC Act 2011 mandates the ACC to investigate and refer for prosecution and prosecute themselves. The case was also dismissed based on the earlier miscellaneous hearing. The construction of upcoming Chamkarchu project in Gemgang is expected to improve the livelihood of many in Gemgang. The works on the 770 megawatt hydropower begins next year.
The 770 megawatt Chamkarchu hydropower project in Gemgang is one of the 10 projects that would help Bhutan produce 10,000 megawatt electricity by 2020. The Prime Minister, during his recent visit to Gemgang, said people should prepare to reap the benefits that the project would bring about. The Prime Minister also said Gemgang will see a lot of infrastructure developments. The project area stretches from Nimshong till Digala in Gemgang. It will be a DGPC and NHPC Limited and Government of India undertaking. The works are expected to be complete by 2021. Compiled for Sujaman Thapa, Dishinongmo, BBS News.
European Union says it will remain committed as a strong development partner to Bhutan regardless of the ongoing Eurozone crisis. In his recent visit to the country, the EU ambassador to Bhutan said relation between the EU and Bhutan always sees results.
Debts and austerity measures, disappointment ran viral in a politically sensitive modern-day crisis as more and more countries in Europe got into financial crisis. A difficult phase and on the road to recovery. Despite this, the European Union commitment to help Bhutan remains unperturbed, said the EU ambassador to Bhutan.
Some development partners believe that Bhutan has now reached a stage where it no longer needs so much support. We understand that Bhutan continues to need international support, and Bhutan can entirely be confident that we will continue this support at the same level or perhaps at a higher level than in the past.
He described the relations between the EU and Bhutan as gratifying, since most of the EU projects in the country had brought impacts to the lives of Bhutanese. The EU has been a strong development partner in the fields of renewable natural resources, environment and agriculture for about 3 decades now. The ambassador said the EU would be very keen to work with the government in achieving Bhutan's 2020 vision of self-reliant not just in the hydropower sector.
We are very keen to work with, and very available to work with Bhutan in other sectors, the creation of national diversification of national trade, exports, creation of industrial production that allows Bhutan to reduce its imports by substituting them by locally produced consumer goods and agricultural produce and so on.
During his brief visit, areas of cooperation discussed include trade in organic certification system, continued climate financial assistance and transport sector. Sonam for BBS News.
People of Pantang village in Pangkar Gyok in Chemgang use a boat to cross Mangdichu every day. It is being used in absence of a bridge over Mangdichu as the construction is yet to complete.
44-years-old Rinchin Doji has been in this business for 2 years now. Earlier, he used a locally made bamboo boat to ferry people. But today, he uses a new one bought recently. People of Gyok are the frequent travelers on this boat. Well, it is an interesting trip for us to take a ride over this boat. But let us think about those people who have to travel all the time through this river. Sometimes there are as many as 200 people using the service. It is also used for transporting construction materials.
Everyone, including His Majesty the King, ministers and local villagers, travel using my boat. It is profitable. I don't have to use any fuel. It is only the payment that I have to make to my helpers.
Though the business is good, those who travel say there is always a fear in their mind while crossing the river. Even the Prime Minister, during his recent visit to Jemgang, used the boat to travel to Panbang.
What we have gone through today in terms of the various modes of transportation, the mixed mode, if you might say, that is crossing the river, yes, as you say, in a boat, and then traveling partly in a tractor. These are but temporary modes of transportation.
Until the Sansari Bridge in Pantang completes, people will have no option but to use the boat. Surjaman Thapa, BBS News, Trongsa.
The 60-year-old man who was abducted at gunpoint from his home in Gakiling in Sarpang last month was reunited with his family yesterday. The incident happened on the 16th of November. The family members paid an undisclosed amount to the kidnappers. The man is said to be in a stable condition, though little traumatized. The man is a lay monk. He came with his family to live in Gakiling from Hlunsi 6 years ago under the resettlement program. The contract teacher who used syringe to punish students at Budashi Community Primary School in Jamgang was sacked last month. Education Minister Thakur Singh Paudel said the teacher did use syringe to prick the children, but the syringe was not filled with water as alleged. One of the students was admitted to BHU, but the health assistant confirmed it had nothing to do with the teacher using syringe. The Education Ministry has also warned the school's principal to be more vigilant and that such incidences are not repeated.
We have been left with no option but to relieve our contract teacher, because we cannot have such a practice in the school. It is totally against the teacher's code of conduct. It is also against the principles of education. He would have had a very short intensive program to prepare him to do the minimum teaching in the school, but he was not put through the regular teacher training program that all the other teachers go through.
On 1st of December last year, 5 Bhutanese living with HIV made history. They came out in open on national television, giving a face to HIV and shared their stories with the whole nation. 1 year on, as Bhutan observes the World AIDS Day again, BBS looks back at how their lives have been after they made their HIV status public.
Wangda Doji is the executive director of Laksam, a support organization for people living with HIV. He was one of the 5 who came out in the open on national television last year and shared their stories with the whole nation. It has been a year now. I caught up Wangda Doji yesterday at the Clock Tower Square. He was busy preparing for today's event to mark World AIDS Day. Wangda said coming out in open gave him a sense of achievement. It is a decision he does not regret.
I felt very relaxed, very, comfortable, especially when I, go to hospitals, collect my medicines, or to meet with the doctors, or do my blood testings and all. It's become very comfortable for me because I need not have to now hide from other people when I go and visit my doctor or to collect my medicines. And also it has given us a good opportunity and also an advantage to talk openly, face to face with the audience.
Wangda said many have been supportive and appreciated their decision to make their status public. But there are also people who think otherwise. The biggest challenge lies within himself, says Wangda.
When I travel in a taxi and the buses, since everyone knows I'm HIV positive, I can't help think but wonder what the person sitting next to me must be feeling. The person may not be thinking anything negative about me. It's just my imagination. And during my family gatherings, my first instinct when I see kids is to hug and kiss them. But I can't bring myself to do this because I'm not sure if the parents would like it.
Wangda and his friends have been traveling around the country carrying out advocacy campaigns. Giving right information about HIV is important. Thus, he added, they always discuss the issues in advance.
HIV is like any other disease. When it comes to dying and living, it is like any other disease. But HIV, we also try to tell them that HIV is different from other diseases because HIV has a very severe negative impacts, especially in terms of socio-economic development and humanitarian crisis. While we tell them that there is a treatment to live a long life, to live a productive life, but we also try to make sure that how challenging it is to live with the medication and with the disease itself.
Another comforting thing for Wangda is Laksam, the organization that he heads, has been able to increase its network of people living with HIV. Out of total 229 people living with HIV in the country, 107 are the members of Laksam. Sonam Lhamu for BBS News.
Unlike the past, this time the Regional Revenue and Customs Office in Phinsiling is seeing an increasing number of bogus or fake import declaration cases. This, the customs officials say, has been triggered by the rupee crunch in the country.
Customs officials say importers either declare goods that have not been imported at all or declare more than the actual goods imported. In November alone, the Customs Office in Phinsiling intercepted 6 such bogus cases. The value ranged from 150,000 to 1.3 million Nultrum. These custom officials said is mainly to mobilize the rupee. Within the first week of this month, 2 cases of goods deflection were also reported.
People are trying to misuse this lending certificates. The moment when the goods lands into Bhutan, the goods are being exempted from payment of VAT, whereby the goods are cheaper in Bhutan than in India. This is the main thing that people try to deflect those goods which are of essential nature.
Customs officials said when they issue the import declaration form, it confirms that goods imported have reached Bhutan. Based on the import declaration form, banks issue Indian rupee drafts against the supplier. But before issuing import declaration form, customs officials carry out physical verification of the goods. They said to intercept such malpractices, they also depend on information sharing system from their informers. However, with the current office lacking a bigger space for physical verification, it hampers their work. In a day, around 800 transactions take place at their checkpoint.
One of the main challenges customs and Finswelling face is the size. In terms of size, as we all know, is very much constricted and cramped. And on top of that, we have immigration office on the top. So having to share the same space is a big problem. Even then, we are able to manage it because we have got another space above, which is there in the ROCO, and also we have space down there in government.
Meanwhile, customs officials also come across very few cases of smuggling of forest products. Last week, they seized about 20 kilograms of a medicinal plant locally known as bang. While the worth of the seizure is yet to be ascertained, customs officials said the plant was brought from Wangdi Forang. Compiled for Somogdi, Pemosuki for BBS News.
Some of the settlements along the Amochu under Samsi Zongkak will be affected by the upcoming Amochu hydropower project. This has left the villagers living along the Amochu worried that it would hamper their livelihood.
So far, the people of Lotokuchu Jigme village under Samsi Zongkak, also known as Doyas, have lived their primitive life in peace and harmony with nature. Doyas are believed to be one of the oldest natives in the country. However, their lives would change soon. Once the Amochu hydropower project construction works reach their region, some of the settlements along the Amochu would be wiped out. 5 chiokes under Samsi Zongkak are likely to be affected. This has left the people in the region worried that this development would change their livelihood. They are also worried if their lands would be compensated fairly.
If I am to express my feelings, I would wish to keep my land located along the Amochu river bank because we can practice double cropping from our land. The land located along the Amochu river bank is far better than the land elsewhere.
We now have sufficient rice cultivation from our fields, and we never had to depend on others. But once we move out, we fear if we would even be able to produce enough rice for a meal.
Meanwhile, the Dofuchen Gub said the impact of the hydropower project will be minimal in his Gyeog. He said a total of about 35 households along the Amochu will be affected. He added only a few % of their lands would be affected.
People have expressed wishes that if the government will substitute their lands, it should be from the government land available in their village. I would like to appeal for the same to the government.
Lotokuchu Jigme village is almost 50 kilometers away from Samsi town. The village was recently connected with electricity, mobile phone networks and farm road. The estimate cost of the Amochu power project is over 43 million ngultrams. The project is expected to begin from next year and is expected to be completed by 5.5 years. Compiled for Karmawandi, Yishigelson, BBS News.
It is orange harvest season and time for people to earn some cash. However, people in some of the gyeoks in Panbang under Jemgang Zongkak are doubtful as citrus greening has affected their orange trees.
Orange production in Lower King has dwindled over the years. Citrus greening has been cited as the reason. People expressed doubt if they will be able to rely on orange for income in the future.
It is affecting us as we depend on orange to buy food and to send our children to school.
For eating, clothing and to send our children to school, we need money and we get the money from the sale of oranges. It is difficult with the yield dropping.
The Gyeok Agriculture Extension Officer said citrus greening is prevalent all over the country. He said people are informed and educated about the disease. They are also made to understand the management of orange trees.
We cannot decide to cut down the tree or uproot it because it has been affected by the disease and the yield is dwindling. There are some trees which are partially affected and this could generate income for the next 10 years. If we decide to cut it down or uproot, then we will be depriving the farmers of their income for the next 10 years. Till now, we have supplied new orange saplings and created awareness on land and orange orchard management.
Meanwhile, research is being carried out on the feasibility of growing some other cash crops in the Gyeok.
What we are doing is we are planning to supply mango, lychee and guava saplings. We also plan to supply betel nut as an alternative cash crop.
Orange is an important source of cash income for the people of Shimgang, one of the remote Dzongkhaks in the country. Kampal for Phuba, Ishwar Gurung, BBS News, Galefu.
That's all we have for you this week. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.